All set.
I guess.
Here we are. All right.
People who don't know what they're doing right here.
That's us.
We
right.
are live. Awesome.
We've got audio from everyone. And
Yeah.
we're live. Hi, guys. Hanging out on top of me here on the stream.
Hi down there, Dave.
And Simon up on top. We've got all three monsters here today. We're going to be doing some coding on the HTBox 2WeeksReady project. And we're just waiting for Carrie has been coding. So earlier this morning, Jeff Fritz was working on the admin app for the 2WeeksReady project. And he was chatting with Richard Campbell and did a little bit of coding after that. And now Carrie's been coding Bandit over on Twitch. And she's just wrapping up her stream and going to send some people over this way. So have you guys looked at 2WeeksReady? Are you familiar with the project?
I know nothing about it.
Nothing about it. Cool.
I am familiar with the premise of it. Yes, a little bit.
All right. Yes, I think you are actually listed as a contributor from very early on, James.
Sorry about that.
I'm just going to bring up the repo here. So it's over on GitHub. Under the HTBox organization, there's the most recently contributed to project is 2WeeksReady. And the idea with this one is that it's around emergency preparedness. So the idea that as a family, as individuals, we should try to be ready for, emergencies that might happen. So the early focus on the app is around tsunamis and earthquakes, working with folks over with the state of Washington, where that's kind of a primary focus for them. And the idea is that, that what the professionals are telling us is that we should try to have supplies to be able to, survive at least for, maybe not comfortably, but have the things that we need to survive for a couple of weeks in the event of a catastrophic emergency like an earthquake or a tsunami. And this is an app around just trying to help your family be prepared for those types of things. So over on the wiki is kind of where we would find most of our requirements for the application. It's pretty well structured that way, that we have like this concept of emergency kits and building up an emergency kit, keeping track of your emergency kit within the app. And you have that all laid out here in terms of the features that we need and the data modeling that we need, the API endpoints. And there's even in some cases, not in this one, there's some mock-ups. Oh yeah, some little mock-ups of screens and stuff. So there's lots of different features here that are kind of ready to work on. I've been out of the loop for a couple of weeks on the project, just been busy with other things, but I've done some work previously on emergency kits. I know Sean Wildermuth just did some work on family plans, so I'm looking forward to pulling down that code and taking a look at what that looks like. And there is Hazard Hunt is another one. I think that's what Carrie and Jeff were working on today, was some of the admin features around hazard hunts. So the different pieces of this app, there's an admin side where the administrators of the app would put in things like what they call base kits. So when you go to build an emergency kit, there's kind of a recommendation of, I was down in here somewhere, and I'll zoom in a bit so it's easier to see, but there's this concept of like a base kit that says for one person, you should have kind of this minimum supply on hand. And those are the base kits that will be defined in the admin app. And then as a user, when you come into the app and you go to add you go to create a new emergency kit for yourself, you can say, I want to start out with the home kit, and there are 3 of me, and it'll do the math and go and figure out, how much stuff you need in your kit for your family. So that's where the admin app comes in.
It's a gallon.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a foreign unit of measure for water.
I never get tired of making metric system jokes.
My daughter has these little toy tools, and she she was wearing her little hat, and she said, "I'm measuring." And she gets out her measuring thing, and she's measuring the wall, and she says, "It's 80 grams."
That's awesome.
You have light walls in your house.
Apparently, yeah. I'm a little worried. Tornado is going to be an issue. Even just a light breeze might be a problem with these walls.
Maybe it's vibranium or something.
On the bright
Maybe.
side, like, you probably hardly need any balloons to float your house around.
This is true.
Your up story is going to be really inexpensive.
All right. So the admin app, what they're doing is building that as a Blazor app. So it'll just be a web-based Blazor app. Not many people will have access to the admin side of things. So that one, we're looking at different ways that we might deploy it, but it opens up a lot of options. It being a Blazor app, we could do like the hybrid thing and actually deploy through an app store if we needed to, or just have it as a website. And the actual app, the TwoWeeksReady app that like the typical user will install, that one's actually a progressive web application. So that one's just JavaScript on the front end, and we're using Azure Functions in both cases, Azure Functions on the back end, to handle all the API pieces, and that is using CosmosDB as a data store. So those are kind of, at a high level, the technologies that we're using for the project. And just waiting for Carrie to wrap up still and send her peeps over, and then I can have a look at kind of where we're at with the project. I wasn't sure where I would pick up because I wasn't sure where Carrie was gonna leave off. So one thing I should do is just make sure that I have the latest code here. Okay, so there were some changes pushed very recently today, and I think Carrie's probably going to have a little bit more to send over, but let's see here. Where do we want to get started? We've got, well, let's run the app. That'll be a good place to start probably. So the app is structured into those three pieces: the API, the admin, and 2WR here is the PWA. So I'll start with the API. I'm just going to open that up here in, actually, we ended up creating a workspace for this because the code is kind of in a couple different places. I can't just open this folder in Visual Studio Code, but I can open this workspace file, and then that brings in everything I need. The reason for that is we have this TwoWeeksReady.common assembly here that happens to be sitting in a different folder. So that's why we have to use a workspace. You guys familiar with the workspace files with Visual Studio Code?
I have not worked with those.
Yeah, I don't usually use them.
I don't usually either, but it's come up a few times for me where there are projects I need to reference that aren't in the current folder. So kind of when I'm sharing code between different solutions, basically. So this allows me to, it's kind of like a solution file, but for Visual Studio Code. So it allows me to add multiple paths so that I'm working on within two folders here instead of just the one. So it includes everything in the API folder and then goes up a level and also includes what's in this common folder. So that way I can have access to whatever's inside of here. So this should just build, I'll be able to do, I'll do a Control-Shift-E here to build the app. Seems to build, which is good, and it should run too. Pressing F5 to run it. And what I'm going to do now is invite Simon and James in to... Oh, thank you, Coding Bandit. Rated with 19 viewers. Welcome, everyone. We are just getting started. I just fired up the API here, and what I'm going to do is fire up live share so that James and Simon can help me out with coding. Well, it's more than two of us, so it can't be pair programming. I guess it's called mob programming at that point. Where's my live share? Do I not have it installed? That would be weird. Maybe I don't? Huh.
So we'll kick off the stream with the installation of an extension for Visual Studio Code.
So
Oh no, it looks like it's installed.
it is now.
Oh, okay. Oh, that was fast.
That was really fast.
Right on.
Yeah. And I'm going to share. I'll have to sign in first. So I'm on a new computer, which is why I'm still running into the occasional thing that has not been installed.
Despite our best efforts with Box Builder.
Yeah. That did get me like 95% of the way. Box Builder or Box Starter.
That's the one. Yeah.
Is pretty great. Okay, so I don't actually want to show that on here. I am going to start that over again. Stop that session.
In the little spaces of dead air, should I talk about what I had to eat today, or
No.
is that off?
No, we don't need to know.
The answer is always no to that, James.
Yeah.
Always no.
Fair enough. That's fair enough.
Like, unless you are shipping it to me so that I can share it with you.
Otherwise, it's just me and James.
I've been known to do that, though. That's
true.
I've played that game. Although once in 4 years isn't exactly like a long track record of sharing baked goods, I suppose.
I still have some in the freezer. It's fine.
I mean, I don't mean to offend you two, but it does seem like one of the viewers is currently asking what I had. So,
all right, fine. Go ahead.
Regret this.
So there's a cheese that's made by Trappist monks. The recipe is like 400 years old, and there's a local group that has started taking on this cheese making process. There's also a butcher that locally cures bacon and whatnot, so from an organic farm. So I had a quiche this morning with an all butter crust and this locally cured bacon and this local cheese. It was out of this world. Oh, and I chased that with a cronut, which is a donut, but it's made out of croissant dough, and it's
not to be confused with Cro-Mag.
With what?
Cro-Mag.
What's a Cro-Mag?
Cro-Mag is a kind of alien species that existed in the 1990s TV show Sliders, which incidentally, amazing show. Super sad that it ended prematurely.
Nice segue. Nice segue.
I think so.
That's yeah, the kind of obscure references you get when the three of us are together working on something.
Okay, so
right.
you're sending us. We got our live share link here.
I sent that over, so you should be able to join. And while you're joining that, I'm actually going to go and fire up the front end too. So we'll just take a look at where we're at with the app. Close. And I'll do another live share here for you guys. Right, you should be able to join in on both those sessions now.
I did, and I had a little bit of an authentication problem, so I'm just going to try and reopen.
There are no participants.
I'm working on it. Select folder. Why am I selecting a folder?
I see Richard is handing out penalties for the opaque TV reference. So off to Simon's corner for you.
That's like a thing we don't want to do? I thought that was cool to make like ancient pop culture references.
I'm not sure.
Is the problem just that I'm making like too younger references for Richard?
Oh,
Because I can try some like Amos and Andy references, but it's not going to get me very far.
All right, while you guys are trying to join, any luck with that yet, or are we having issues with live share today?
LiveShare's telling me that is joining the collaboration session, and then it says signed out, and it's giving me a spinning wheel on loading file tree. So I'm not sure if it's actually signed me in again or
Yeah,
not.
I don't see you guys joining yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Too bad.
slowly joining, I think.
Yeah, if it
I
doesn't
didn't
work, we'll-
actually have LiveShare installed, so I'm going through the same role as you.
All right, let's have
Again,
a look
we're experts in our field, and we'd.
Ooh, I got into one of them.
Oh yes, there you are. I see
The other
someone.
one, I'm
Oh,
going
do I?
to get into the other one and try it again.
I do see a Simon Timms on this one. Okay. npm run serve. All right, let's see where we're at with this app now that everything running. So just to recap, the things that I have running locally for this all to work is I have the CosmosDB emulator running over here. So that's just running on my local host, so I don't have to connect to the cloud to do that. I'm missing a couple of collections here. I'm probably going to have to go in, or containers, I'll probably have to go and create some. But that's the database I'm connecting to. I'm running the API locally as well, so I have my Azure Functions running here with all the endpoints waiting and listening for traffic to come in, and then there we go, we have the front end app running as well. So now I should be able to launch that and start playing with the app. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do a little different than the other times I've been working on this is kind of force myself to be a little bit more mobile first with this thing and run this as though I'm on a mobile device. So I'll start up the emulator here. Not the emulator, but the DevTools mobile emulator thing.
Emulator feels like a generous term.
Simulating the size, I guess, is all I'm really doing. But let's say I'm on a, I don't know.
Pixel
Really
2.
old devices. That's crazy. Okay, well, pretend I'm on a Pixel 2.
I don't know, sure.
Sure, why not?
That's what I have.
Pixel 2?
Yeah,
Man, it's ancient.
I know.
Crazy.
I just,
So I should be able to log in if I can remember my password for this thing.
just using Auth0's authentication.
It is, yes, we're using Auth0 for this, and that allegedly was not correct. Let's try this again. That looks better. Okay, once I log in, it redirects me back to the page, and now I have access to things. So I can go to emergency kits, for example. And at that point, I should see traffic flowing in here. Oh, but I didn't. All right. What's going on here? Always kind of fun when you come into a project after not being there for a little while. Connection refused, port 7071. Why? Why is it refusing 7071?
Is that the port you're running the emulator on, or the API
That's
on?
support for the API Azure Functions piece, and that should just work.
Yeah, it's not HTTPS or anything like that.
Nope. And I believe if I check my settings, I have core set to star, so that should just flow through no problem. Interesting. Well, let's try calling one of those directly.
Just, yeah, direct call.
I'd expect to get a 401 probably. Oh, something else is going on here that's intercepting it. On live share, I tried sharing that port, so maybe I'm gonna stop sharing that, just see. Maybe that's messing it up somehow.
Oh, actually, if you go back there, it looks like the tonal process ended on 7071.
You're right, it did end. Let's run that again.
Although I'm not sure why.
It might have crashed because the container wasn't there or something silly. Good catch, Simon. Good catch.
Yeah, it looks happy.
Okay, now it's running. So what happens now if I go back to my app, go to emergency kits. Oh, that's better. There's my Go kit from last time I was working on this. All right, we don't have the ability to edit those yet. Maybe that's where we should focus our efforts today. So we have the ability right now to come in here and create a new kit. So this could be like the James Bakery things, because I could picture James really focusing on the right things when it comes to preparing for an emergency, and it would be like,
yeah, and he's going to be answering questions like, how long can I keep brie out of the fridge?
You'd probably have like 150 of those, because, well, if you needed 2 weeks of them, you'd probably need more than that based on how often he's telling us he's eating them. So there's James's Bakery things with his 150 cronuts. So I've created it and I can delete it, but I can't actually go and edit it. So it's probably a good place for us to.
So the items on this list, then, these represent items in a kit, or these are a kit with items in them?
This is a kit with items in them. Yeah.
Okay,
if you look at probably the best place.
We can't see the James's Bakery things list yet, but the idea is that you're going to be maintaining that list.
No, we do have that list. We have the ability to add and view the list, but we don't have the ability, we have the ability to view the list of all your kits. But when I click on a kit, I can't see there's no edit screen that shows me the contents of your kit yet.
Gotcha. Right.
So it looks like there's an API endpoint though for emergency kit by ID. Yeah,
there is, yeah. We just haven't built the UI for it.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, let's just review the API and see what's there. So you guys are both in this live share for sure. So you should be able to see the emergency kits API. And as you said, there's a get kits. That's the one that gives me the list of the kits. And then there should be a get kit by ID. Get kit.
Yeah, by ID. Emergency kit by ID.
The ID. Make sure you're authorized. Pulls the kit back from CosmosDB. It's always checking based on your user ID to make sure that it's only grabbing kits that you actually have access to, which is good. And then it's returning a bad request if it's not found, which maybe should be a not found, but that not a big deal right now. Then it just returns OK object result, so the JSON payload of that kit. So I think you're right, Simon, that the backend's all in place. We have everything we need here. But that front end bit isn't there yet. So
it's kind of started on this, but I'm not sure what parameters this thing takes here.
Yeah, so just this, I think it's slash and then the ID.
Is it just like a slash?
That's what it says. Let me double check the route definition for that. String ID. Yeah, so the route has ID as a path parameter. Look at you. You remembered the right string interpolation format for
Oh,
the language you're currently in.
Yeah. It's always a challenge. The number of times that I have like $signs in my C# string interpolations is ridiculous.
Oh, it looks like it automatically shared port 8080 for me, so you guys can probably browse to the app. I'm curious if that will work.
That is exciting.
It would be kind of exciting. I'll just make sure I'm also sharing in the backend.
So I'm just going to be looking for, right, because we need the shared server for the
so
API
that's
as well.
there too.
Okay, great. Oh, but we would have to either create an account or sign in with your account.
You should be able to register for an account when you go to log in.
That is going to be ballin'. That's going to be so poggers.
Yes, it certainly slaps.
Bet.
We've been working on our lingo.
Youngins are talking about.
Well, we're on Twitch. I feel like we need to do as Twitch does, right?
True.
So I'm going to try a login here. I can do my sign up flow. Oh, look at how slick this is. Yeah, sure, Chrome. Do that password for me.
Okay, I'm going to go, while you guys are working on that, I'm going to take a look at the code here and try to remind myself of how we built this front end.
Well, you got a Vuetify thing going on here for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely based on Vuetify. So we've got the emergency kit listings, emergency kit create, and I guess we would need an emergency kit view or edit. Which is, these are the pages, I suppose, that are just pulling in, they're really just importing the component, which must be in the components folder. Prepare, emergency kits, create, list. Yeah. I'm thinking that it would probably be very similar to the emergency kit create. Probably just copy that, do a edit. All right. Do I not have the Vue extensions either? My goodness. Don't have anything installed that I usually have installed. Be Vueter is the one I like to install because it seems to do all the things that I need. It'd give me some syntax highlighting at least within these components. Did you get registered? And
I did. I have a bug out kit now.
cool.
I've been watching. What's that?
I can probably go to my CosmosDB emulator and see the emergency kit that you just added.
Yeah, I've been watching some of those, those scenarios. Yeah.
That's
what are
kind of
those?
wild.
What are those shows called? Like those ones for preppers, right? So I know some of the lingo there. I need a bug out kit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tank. Yeah. This is pretty wild. I mean, this is the CosmosDB emulator running locally on my machine, right?
And I mean, like, let's talk about how much more wild stuff's going on. We've got VS Code Share going on. I can make changes to code that get logged into the same commit that you're doing on the branch that you're on, and I'm browsing it locally. Like, I mean, there's all kinds of wild stuff going on right now.
Craziness. Okay. Let's see if we can knock out. Oh, I'm editing the wrong file.
You don't want to knock out anything. We've done knockout.
Okay, the edit file. Here we go. There's James. I see James' code. So I'm thinking that like most of the UI portion of this will be the same. It's just going to have to go and grab data slightly differently.
Yeah, I put a mounted in there already.
Oh, cool. Where are you? I should be able to go to Simon.
Oh, I'm not necessarily there anymore. There we go. Line 202.
Okay. So when we mount, we want to go and grab that emergency kit based on the parameter. Oh, how do we do that in Vue? Been bouncing between frameworks too much lately. Presumably we'll have a route parameter.
Yeah, and so you're going to have to, do you have Vue router?
We do, yeah. Let's go to the router. Let's do that. Okay, so how do I unfollow Simon? Because now it's bouncing around.
Just under that live share menu link.
Follow.
Yeah.
Done. Okay. So we've got emergency kit create. So this is where we'll do, I suppose, edit/ID. I'm just guessing on how we do the parameters there. And we added a piece here that requires authentication. So you can only get to this route if you've actually, if you're actually signed in. And if you're not, it's gonna reroute you to the login page. And now it's complaining that I don't actually have that view created, the page created. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna import it even though it doesn't exist yet and go create that piece, which should be just another pretty simple copy paste. So under the views prepare emergency kit here, I'll create a new one called edit. And that is going to make, or going to be called the edit page. It's going to bring in the edit component. A little bit of boilerplate here, but that should be the trick. That at least compiles now. All right, guys, how do we do the route parameters?
You can access it through the router object. I'm just getting Vueter installed. I'm catching up here. And I haven't...
:ID. That was close. And then it's just route.params.id. So
right. Yep. Sorry, that's what I was thinking of. I'm looking at a different... I'm not quite caught up to you.
I just had the syntax slightly wrong on that. But now we do have that edit page, and we should be able to go to that mount and make whatever call it is that we need to make to go and get the data. So how do we do that here on the list page? So here on, it's actually not on mount. On created, we're dispatching that get emergency kit list async. So we're going to want to do probably on mounted this time, or on, I'm guessing mounted, but let's go. So we're using Vuex here as a store for state management, and we're using that for a few reasons, but we want to be pretty explicit about when we're loading data with this application, because we're designing it for emergency scenarios where the network connection might not be very reliable. So there's lots of times when we might be offline and we still want to be able to access our emergency kits, for example. So what we do is we end up storing things locally in like the local, I think it ends up being in IndexedDB or something. I can't remember exactly, but we do all those checks inside of the store so that when we do request like a particular emergency kit, if we do have it locally and we're not online, you'll still be able to access that. So it's one of the reasons we're trying to be really explicit with the with how we store state within the application. So when we go to the emergency kit store, you can see that we have some actions already there. There's the get emergency kit list async that goes and checks if I'm online. If it is, then it goes and grabs things from the server and then stores them. We're using, local forage is the package we're using to kind of abstract the local storage piece within the application. And then if we're not online, it goes and gets it from there. So, and I guess we'll need something similar here. So we'll need an action called get emergency kit async, and we'll be passing in the ID. So I'm just going to copy that, kind of get that pattern, And I'm going to do ID is the thing that we pass in. And it's going to call get emergency kit. And if we're online, we're going to say emergency kit.get by ID, which is that thing that Simon already created for me, I think. Yep. So that would go call the API. And then otherwise, when we get it back, we're going to set, I guess the ID, we're going to need the ID in there, aren't we? So when we're setting the item in local storage, we're also going to need that ID. Am I going to remember how to do string interpolation? Yes. Cool. Thank you, James. Fixing my syntax errors. And then likewise, if we're offline, we're going to want to get it based on that item, serve it from cache, and we'll call set item. Set kit. Okay, so once we get that data, we need to set. So I'm kind of remembering how Vuex works in the back of my mind as we're going through this. So the action is the thing that gets called by the UI when some event happens, like a button click or when you go to a page and it needs to do something. It calls an action. The action can be an asynchronous thing. So in this case, calling an API to get data. And then when it gets data back, it commits that data based on using some name as the name of the thing that it's doing. So what that's doing is committing a mutation to this current state of the store. So here we want to have the concept of the current item. So we had set list. We also want to have like a set current, I guess. What did I just call it? I already set kit. I suppose we could say set item if we're going to be kind of generic.
So those have to be like globally unique or just unique within the...
Unique within the store. So
Okay.
we're, the way these get pulled together in the global store here is we have all these modules. So the emergency kit module, what it ends up being is the path for it is /emergency kit store / current item or whatever I just called it.
Whatever that key name is.
Yeah. Set item state payload. And we'll do state.item equals payload. Simple enough. And then we're going to do item, which is just going to be null. Oh yeah, good idea. We should have a load-in too.
Is that how I would do it?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But then after the state.item set?
Yeah, so we need to commit a message saying that we started loading. Yeah, so when we're setting it, we're saying that we're no longer loading. But we would also need like a, but we had add start, it would be like, yeah.
Okay.
So here we would have load start, I guess. And this is also that when we go to that page, if it's making a call to the API, it can show a little load-in spinner while it's doing that.
True, maybe for that?
Yeah, sorry. Good call.
So just for consistency there, we have add error, add start, or add start, add success. Those ones all have is saving, or there's is saving true, false,
start
false.
as a postfix.
Yeah, so no, it was add start, add success.
But isn't add the verb and then like, oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Then start.
And then we'll call this load success, I suppose.
Okay.
And then we'll have a load error.
Why would we need an error?
Things go wrong sometimes.
No, they don't.
and then with an error message.
Blind faith.
So, blind faith in the network. The network is
Yeah.
always reliable.
Yeah.
Go
That's
ahead,
the
James. You look
fallacy
like
that
you're
you-
ready to type.
No. We're good. I was just following along. I actually don't know where you're going with the load error.
Same as add error. So we would say that is loading is false, but then we would set this error message. So there would be a load error message equal to the payload. Okay, so the things we added to state, there's is loading, item, and load error message, which I see you guys have conveniently already.
This is the cool
put
part
into
about mob programming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. We should do this more often. Okay, so now when we're loading, we do need to call those things. So this was now load success, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do I have to spell it correctly? Probably. Preferred. So that's load success. And we had load start at the beginning. And then we should wrap this all in a try catch to do the error handling.
What was our Canadian version of that going to be?
Oh my goodness.
Try and sorry? Or
Sorry.
something?
Try sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. I'm not sure who's mending the HTBox handle today. Would that be? Do you know who that would be, Dave?
I'm not sure. That might be Pascal.
Pascal. Hey, Pascal. How are you
Pascal.
doing?
Oh, I was hoping it was like the personification of the project come to life.
It's the AI.
Yeah.
It's the HTBox AI.
I did just watch a movie last night with an AI that came to life, played by James Corden.
Wait, what? Was it Cats?
No, turns out he's been in more than one movie.
Oh, wow.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we have everything we need in our emergency kit store now to pull this off. So
Okay, I already
Back-
added the
course
on-click
you did.
handler. So
okay, so that's on the list view. You added the. Let's have
Yeah.
a look at that just so everybody knows what it's doing.
so just right there on that.
Okay, so here when we click on the card, it's going to call edit kit, which calls router.push. Cool. So that should take us over here. And then, no, sorry. Yeah, here.
Does that need to be async to do navigation? Is that am I in the wrong framework?
Don't think so.
Okay.
Well, let's look at what we're doing now for example, because we do have the, where's the other click?
Yeah, well, go back does router stuff too, and it doesn't look like it does anything asynchronously. I might be onto like a React router thing,
Trying to find the create. How do we get to
Or-
the create one?
or even like a Flutter router. There's too many routers in my mind.
Oh yeah, that one's just a 2. Actually, we could just do it as a 2 as well, I think.
That's a thing?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I'm gonna try that. Does that mix too much functionality into the? I mean, I guess it's all in the same component.
It's just a link, right?
How do you do string
The-
interpolation in there with the ID?
You just do 2 like that, I think.
Add the binding syntax.
Yeah. I could be wrong. We could just do it the way we have it. I don't think you do need it to be async when you're, if you're just doing a router.push.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'm getting mixed up with either like a Flutter router or a React router. Or
So it is a promise. It does return a promise.
oh, well, maybe then.
If we wanted to do something here immediately after it, then maybe we would need to, but I don't think we have to handle
Yeah, I feel like
that promise.
I mean, I'm always confusing like JavaScript promises and C# tasks, but my feeling is that like with a JavaScript promise, if you don't await it, it does still terminate. Whereas with C#
Yeah.
tasks, that isn't necessarily the case.
Yeah, and C# with a if you have a task, you need, and your method's async, or just in general, you always have to await your async calls, right? But yeah, in JavaScript, I don't think that's the case. We bounce around between languages and frameworks a little bit too much, don't we?
It has been known to happen.
All right. So what else do we need to do? So over on the edit one, I guess
Did we finish loading this stuff in the edit one?
We didn't. So
Right.
we don't need this create kit stuff yet, but we'll come back to that. We can probably leave that code in there. You had added a mounted. What was that?
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Not? Where did I add that to?
I thought it was in here.
Oh, I added it to create. I don't want to create. I'll move it over.
Oh, right. Yeah, you added the create.
Do we care about the order thing? I'll put it in there on line 234.
I do have a quick question for you. As I was off installing my tooling there while you guys got started here, did you just do a copy paste on create to get the edit view going?
I did, yeah, which brought in some things that I don't want. But...
Sure. And so we'll have to probably strip some of that back, but would it also make sense to extract a component for that?
Depends, I suppose.
I mean, there's not a whole lot on this thing, right? Like, there's a name, a description. Well, that's not even on it, though. That's on the
So this is only the beginning of what these kit items contain. So you might be right. Like, we should probably extract this into a component.
It's always like, we've had this conversation before. It's always this is the part of where I hate, because it's like, okay, we're on the verge of something that is starting to feel like there's repetition. So how do we decide to extract the component? Or when do we decide to extract the component? But doesn't have to be now. Let's get this implemented.
Let's get the data loaded.
Yeah.
So that we can see the things that we entered. Okay, so this is what we need to do here. Let's do a dispatch. And it was get emergency async. And we just needed the ID, so that was this dot router params.
.id.
Route.params. .id. Yeah.
Simon Pascal's giving you a shout out as well there on the stream.
Oh.
Thanking you for the help.
So in theory, when I click on this thing or tap on James's Bakery things,
do it.
Takes me to the page. That's a good start. And it should have called get by ID, which it did. And it did get the data, so that's cool.
So we just need to get it to push that into the state, I guess?
It's in the state, yeah. I think it should be in the state. We just need to bind this guy to the state. So right now, because I copied the create, it's working with just like this. There's my item that it's binding to. Right, so we have kit items, icons, like it's kind of deconstructed the whole kit here into the data for the component. And what we want to do is, what do we want to do here? Basically, it's going to be
destructure it and rebuild the thing.
We can make these all computed, or we could just expose item or kit as a computed property here. And then bind the UI to kit dot those things. That makes sense?
Yeah, I like that idea. Having
actually, we might want to make a copy of it for the local component. And I'm just thinking ahead a little bit to when we actually start editing. When you're using Vuex, you're not supposed to edit the state outside of the store itself. So if we bind that UI directly to the store and we start adding and removing things from it, it's probably going to start throwing errors in the console for us.
So what's the correct way to bind to something that you're maintaining state for then?
You'd probably make a local copy of it and then
Edit the
you'd
local
push
copy and then bind and
push
then
it back
save,
to
set the
the
state.
store when you click the save button kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense? So we have this concept of kit items. How do we do this in Vue?
I mean, can we just update the stuff in data with that?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Like just in the mount, like in the...
Well, except so we dispatch an event and that mutates the state in the store.
Right.
So like what about having like local kits though, and then store it in here, the properties in here? Then use that to manage locally on the page and then push whatever object is in local kit. So is everything up here?
It just feels awkward. Okay, so it seems like the state, like we have a global state, right? Which is the thing that we're editing, but we are not supposed to edit that state directly.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so then if we just clone that state and use that as the basis.
Yes, I think that's the best approach.
And then once it's done, then we can re-push it, because that isolates the state like within this component.
Mm-hmm. So now what I'm trying to remember is how I find out when this thing is loaded. I dispatch the event, it happens, some asynchronous thing happens, and then eventually the state of the store changes and the kit item is there. Would I need to be notified when that actually changes? So like I can get my kit item. Or kit, I guess, is what it is.
So can we just do a computed off of that?
So that's what this is. So this would be a computed that would return the item, but then it would be like I wouldn't be able to start modifying the contents of the arrays inside that item, for example. Is item the right thing? Is that what I called it? Keep having to go back to my store. Yes, I did call it item.
You were just doing the set item thing, so. The create kit can go though, right? And I'm just cleaning up down below in the methods.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to have the concept of a save still. But...
Yeah, save is there.
Let's see. UX. No. Okay. Not sure that's the right thing to do. Clone object for local editing. Using Vuex for central storage management of a list of objects. This is Stack Overflow asking kind of the thing that we're getting at. Vuex clone object for local editing. Let's see if there are any answers.
I hope so.
Is that an aha or a?
No, that was
What are we gonna do?
somebody putting stringify.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it is the easiest way to make sure you've deep cloned the
Yeah,
object in
yep.
JavaScript, but it is kind of weird. If we go to edit the kit, the thing I'm a little bit stuck on is just how I know the kit is loaded, like when the state has changed in the store. Am I overthinking this?
So there is a watch that you can do on a Vue.
Yes, there is. And you set that up in your mounted, don't you?
Yeah,
so
and then you have to
set up a
remember
watch.
to watch it and destroy.
That's what it is. So do a watch on that same thing, right? Here I can actually do right. And then I can set my local data to the clone. I think that's what we want to do. So I'm still going to have that computed that goes and pulls the current kit from the store.
Why would you need that?
So that's the thing that's, why would I need it? Maybe I don't. I guess I could do, how else would I get the, like, what am I watching otherwise?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I think I just have the computed there so that I can get it from state and be notified when it changes, basically. It's the only reason to have it there.
Okay, and this watch, it takes a few things, right? Like it.
There's different options for, like, you can watch by a string-based path, or you can give it a function that expression or function, and then the callback for the thing that you're gonna. It's been a while since I've written these. Let me look for an example. Old Stack Overflow.
Jesus.
Oh, interesting. You can also do it this way. New count, old count. Well, that's interesting. Let's give this a try.
Yeah,
You're probably waiting for the screen share to catch up, but
yeah,
part of the Vue object is a watch, which you can just do it by name. This might be easier, so instead of in the mounted here, I'd actually just have watch kit. So let's just log the kit when it gets loaded. If this works the way I think it does, we should be able to deconstruct it here, set it in our local data, and then that should just display the way we want it to, and we can edit it our heart's content, and then just have a save method that pushes it back to local storage, or to the Vuex store. So let's have a look at that. We'll go back. Let's clear this again. Click on James Bakery things. I'm in my watch, and there's my kit. It's my kit items. Cool. Okay, so I don't think we need to unwatch then when we do it this way.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, so now it would be this dot items, or kit items, I guess it probably was. Is that actually what that's called? Yep. And then we have things like the icon. What else do we have in our local state? Icon, color, name, items. Let's get that all in there? No. So I think that should be it. Well, I mean it in terms of rendering this page. There you go. Amazing. There's the icon I had selected, I'm pretty sure. I hadn't changed the color, but there's James Bakery things with his 150 really important cronuts. I should be able to go back and click on my new kit with my 42 astronaut ice creams.
And it appears that the color updated as well, so that
Yeah, the color and the icon. So
yeah, they're already bound to that too. Or well, I guess they were bound to the local property.
That's cool. Well, we got something there, at least.
So if you save it now, it's probably pretty close to working. It probably is just going to create another kit instead of...
I think James might have deleted the create piece, right?
I did, but then I added it back because I figured we would
yeah.
need to add the...
Yeah, let's just change that to save kit.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to check the API and make sure that I suspect that endpoint's already in there.
And I'm guessing that we're going to need to update the emergency kit. Oh, wait. So we're going to do that in the kit store as well, right? We're going to add a save emergency kit async.
Yeah. So we had the add, and we'll do a save, which we'll call update kit on the back end, and that is already in place. It's handy. I was neglecting the comments over on YouTube. I wasn't watching there. We do have a few people watching on that side. Chris was saying Ms. Patterson saying, all the audio seems to be working, though Blue Guy sure is quiet.
Is Blue Guy which is Simon Blue Guy?
Maybe.
Like, I mean, because he's got the blue shirt, but I've got a blue wall. But I'm Green Monster. So
Simon is wearing a blue shirt and is the blue monster.
I feel like I'm overwhelmingly blue here.
Yeah. Audio levels look the same for everyone on my OBS stream. So I don't know, hopefully it's better now. All right. Did you guys finish the front end while I was looking at the back end?
Well, I got the store updated, but
oh wait, did you add the store as well? Because I added I did a save.
I did a save. Did we not?
This will be interesting.
Where did you add yours?
Well, I put mine right down at the bottom.
Okay.
Oh,
so this
yeah,
might have
yeah,
worked out really well. So
you did the save, and I did the state stuff, so we're fine.
Oh, okay.
I did the mutations.
You guys accidentally split that work perfectly.
Nice. But I just assumed that the method on the API was called save. I didn't actually go and verify that. So I'm following.
It's not, so it's update, but let's... Oh, you know what? There isn't an API method yet. Let's go add that.
And is that going to be a put?
Yes, I believe so. Love pair programming, mob programming, and then this is update. And you know what I'm going to do is go put a breakpoint over on the Azure Functions side of things.
I feel like that name is too long to say, Azure Functions. We need like a cool shorthand for it.
Should we just call it AF?
I was thinking like AFunk. I don't know. I gotta run that past some focus groups first.
Let us know.
Yeah.
Gonna need some funding for this.
Okay. In theory, do we have this all wired up now? What did we miss? Probably the actual component itself. So here we're going to call update emergency kit async.
Should this not be? We should probably go update and then.
It's probably gonna need an ID on there now too.
Oh, right. Good call. Yeah, it's definitely going to need an ID. Which we... Actually, I can just do... kit.id.
What are we
It's
setting?
a little weird, though.
Are we setting kit.id when we pull it out of the state?
Well, kit is coming from state, the thing that was loaded from the database, so it would have an ID on it, but we should
probably
have it here.
We could use the route one too.
Oh,
we
yeah.
have a preponderance of places
true.
where it's like, yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Get rid of these. What's up there, Alexa?
Yeah, I gotta be quick on the mute.
I recognize that ding. It's definitely an Alexa one.
Yeah, that's my like, mute it before people hear about things happening in my house.
The first thing I do now with people when I see them connect without earphones is I go, "Hey Google, turn off the lights," because then, yeah.
Once in a while it works. I try to order people stuff off of Amazon.
It's just mean. What you need to do is start selling things on Amazon. Order that. People's Alexas.
Oh, that's a good idea. If I came up with like a uniquely named thing that was incredibly expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just build
ideas.
And then you just build a really successful like Twitch stream and encourage everybody to use their speakers. And then at some point in the stream, you just call it out. Hey, Alexa, order the Gerfendocken.
Yeah.
Okay, let's try to change this one to something. Red. I'll hit save. And then nothing happened. Crashed. Okay, update emergency kit async is not a known action type. Did I get the name wrong? It would seem so. Save, right. Okay, let's be consistent. We'll call it save in the API too. And call it save when we call it, obviously. Where was that?
Okay, I got it.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, let's give that a try again. Make those changes again. Can I edit this? Oh, I can. Interesting. So these pieces, I think, are the ones that we're going to want to try to extract some shared component for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what did that do this time? Error in callback watcher. Do not mutate Vuex state. So this is the error I was alluding to earlier, but I'm not sure why we're getting it.
Do not mutate Vuex. Store state outside mutation handlers.
Handlers. Update kit. What's this doing? Let's see how we're updating state there outside of the... That's weird. What did we do wrong?
I wonder if we might have
an error in our
update kit.
Save emergency kit, which will take us to the store. Save success. Save error. I mean, we're not doing anything to the state here that isn't through the commit call. This does look just like the create emergency kit, doesn't it?
Does that error only surface when we hit the button to save, or is it when we're changing properties?
Oh, good question. Let's check that. Yeah, you're right. We might not be cloning something properly. Let's see what happens here. So far, so good. But probably when I came to edit this, it complained. Yeah. Okay, so that's a bug that we have somewhere. We don't have to.
There we go.
That.
Yeah, it's the kit items or whatever, right?
When we click save, it's just saying that there is no unknown action type save emergency kit async. So.
Oh.
Emergency. I feel like we must have just a typo somewhere.
Or save versus update somewhere.
It's called save emergency kit in both places. Oh, probably needed to save the file. That's my guess. No, clear. Crash. Okay, that's weird. Save emergency kit async. Save emergency kit async. It's definitely what it's called. Oh, we're in the wrong place here with our code, I think. That method needs to be inside the actions, and I think it's outside of the actions. Yeah.
My bad, friends.
Your bad, friends.
No, the friends, that was my bad.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Mystery
not
solved.
super clear.
Yes, you're right. It is not super clear. The last big type view system I did, I used TypeScript, and I feel like that structured these things a little bit better in terms of like, just how, like where the code sits inside of the state or inside of the store.
Right.
But that's a whole other thing. Okay, let's see if this works now. All right, we're in the method.
And you hit the breakpoint.
Oh, you guys are following me along. That's cool.
It's forcing me to follow you along. It's changing my focus back to this.
It's updating all the kit items. You know what I don't think this is doing? Is updating the name or any of the other data on it. It's only updating the items. Oh, and then it crashed. Okay, so it looks like we have a bug in our API. Emergency kit update, resource not found when it went to do the update. What are we missing? What are we missing? Let's go hit that breakpoint again. Oh, look, we even got our error message. That's nice. So, whoa, tree. What did you type there, Simon? Okay, we do have the ID.
Yeah, sorry, it just changed my focus there.
Yeah,
Hang on,
just as you went to type.
I'm gonna stop it from following. Oh, it's not even following. I don't know how to stop this from being annoying.
Well, the user ID is null. Why is the user ID null? Oh, the user ID on the kit that we brought in is null. Okay. That's not the one we're trying to save. The one we're trying to save is this one. Wait, what? Okay, so one of the things I think that we need to do when we create it, or when we're editing a kit, is make sure that the user ID is set to the current user. And that user ID is actually the partition key on this. So that could explain why it's
Unable to find the resource.
yeah. So the reason I'd want to reset it here is I don't want to trust whatever the client sends in as being the user ID for that on that JSON payload. But I can trust the user ID that's on this authorization result because that's the one that we pulled from the JOT token in the that we verify.
It's a source of truth all the time, right?
Yeah, that's always going to be, it's verified true because we verified that token. So that would set that. And I'm just wondering about the logic of this, if it's really the right thing to do in general here. For how
What
we
about
update this thing.
We also don't want to trust that when it gets to the server, though, do we? Like, how do we verify the user ID on the server?
This is on the server.
Oh gosh, sorry. Yeah, never mind.
All right, I have to jump off. Yeah.
All right.
It has been
Thanks
a
for
ride.
joining.
No problem. You should.
Okay, cheers. Cheers, Simon.
Bye. I'm just gonna. Actually, I don't need to do anything. It's just gone now. Okay, so I think that might be okay. The thing I'm just wondering is like the logic that it's doing here is saying. So kit is the one that came in from the JSON payload. It didn't have a user ID. I set that. It goes and grabs the existing kit, making sure that it's for that user. If it's null, returns a bad request. Otherwise, it says for each of the kits, kit items.
Kit items.
If, oh, it's just, oh, it was, okay, yeah, that's fine. I don't know why we're setting user ID on the kit items, but maybe there's a reason for that that I'm not aware of.
Well, I have another question.
To do with shared family ones.
Right. I have another question for you, though. What if I'm deleting the last item from the item, like from the kit items?
Then you just have a kit without any items. This is just setting the ID and user ID on each individual kit item.
Right. Okay.
So those are, again, just properties that need to be set that aren't going to be set by the client.
Right. And only if we've got items in there. But we don't want to do that on existing items, do we? Or does it matter? Because we're in a document DB, so it doesn't.
Yeah, that's a good question on update. I don't know that you would want to.
Because
it's saying if it's only doing that if it's
null or white space on the ID. Right. Okay. Okay. So we have a guard there. Okay. Yeah. Apparently you have to read all of the code.
Apparently.
The computer will.
I'm pretty sure the thing that was tripping this up is it was trying to load the document and didn't have a partition key, so it doesn't know what partition to look in to get the kit with that particular ID.
Right.
You need both a partition key and an ID. So I think that's the problem, but I guess we'll find out here. Let's
Run it again.
this. Wasn't sure what we were going to work on today, but if we can get edit working, I think we'll be in a good place here. It's a good chunk of functionality to add. Now those things don't get set right now, so I would need to edit something like this to... Definitely going to need more ice cream than 42 of them.
Is there a way to? Oh, you hit a break. Oh, you're ahead of me there.
Yeah, I'm in the UI, or sorry, in the...
Yeah, I switched back to the
API.
Twitch stream to watch where you were, and then I realized I was behind, but okay. Follow you.
Okay, so we have our kit. It has a user ID, list of items. There should be there's my 50 astronaut ice creams. So hopefully this works now, and it looks like it did.
It did walk through that.
Yeah. And then that should take me back to my list, which it did. Amazing.
Sweet.
Fantastic. So I think everything actually did update. Let's just go test that again. So just going to add some things here to make sure that those are changing. Save. We probably don't need this breakpoint anymore, or this one. Huh. Amazing.
My stream is a little bit behind seeing the visual confirmation, but there it is. Yeah, right on.
We have save working. This is probably a good place to check in some code.
Yeah, I do have one other thing as I bloat your pull request, but I feel like so from the context of what the user is going to want to see, it might be probably an opportunity for a pull request for someone if they want to do it. But when you go in to edit the items, I feel like after you've created your list, editing the color isn't going to be probably the thing that you're going to want to do. We could probably just minimize that section when...
I think even on the create, we need to minimize that a bit.
Choose a random color by default, and then if they want to change it,
half the screen.
Yeah, especially on the mobile.
I think it can probably be more of like a pop-up kind of editor. For the color.
Yeah. But that's a good opportunity for a pull request.
Yeah. I think we have at least some working functionality in here.
Yeah, this is a good chunk of code to check in,
So it's a good place to make a check-in point at least. So here we get our co-authors on our commit, but I'm just going to create a new branch first. We'll call this /. All right, just a quick review here. Make sure that I don't have any code that's shouldn't be in here.
Trying to sneak in the back door.
Especially when I'm live or doing a live share with folks that I just can't trust, like you.
Sneaky. Every time you add an item to the list, it places an order from the bakery.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing I'm worried about. I suspect we had some console logs in here still. I'm just going to go check that. Not sure why my package lock JSON changed. That should not have changed. I am not going to stage that change. Oh, why do I have some files that are not saved? That's also a problem. Okay, let's go look at this create. Just gonna make sure there's no console.log. Okay, I think we're good. Need that. And let's head over to GitHub.
We just got approval to ship it to prod from Dukasoft, so
Awesome.
yeah.
Ship it. We actually don't have a prod, so the only environment we have is dev. We're actually, that's kind of brings up a good point. We're currently in the process of building out a beta testing environment for this application. What just happened here? Oh, I need to push that. So right now, anytime we merge to the master branch, everything gets deployed to our dev environment, which is, there's a link to it here. So you can actually go and try this if you're interested in what the app looks like. It's 2wrdev.azureedge.net. And that's a live version of the app. You just get this header here kind of telling you that this is in a development version. Don't actually build out your emergency kits and expect to rely on this in an emergency. But you can test that out, and we're working on setting up another environment that will be the beta test environment that we can push to once we kind of have that core bit of functionality in place. So, there is that pull request. I really like how, because we worked on that together, the three of us.
Yeah, it sets the commit comments, right? It's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it adds this co-authored and actually shows you guys all as,
yeah,
as
right on.
co-authors here. So that's pretty cool. I think eventually that means you all show up in the contributors list too. So good stuff. What else can we clean up? We have that PR there, but I think there were some things that we could have done better probably. One thing we don't have is that loading indicator initially.
Right. Do you want that to be like like an overlay, like a
yeah, something
an
like
app-wide overlay that sits somewhere? Because we've got that what's in the title bar. Is that in our rendering control, or is that just the page title?
That is a good question. Well, that's in our current component. Yeah, if we go look at that edit emergency kit, yeah, that's up here. Emergency kit create, emergency kit edit. That's actually part of the current component that we're on.
The other thing that because we're going to be loading that as we load the page, so we could probably put in would there be CSS in place already for what's the view? Like you get that tag, you suppress it until just so you don't see the loading bits before you get binding. What's that called?
It's like a knockout.
No. View hide until loaded.
I think you only do that kind of at the
when you're loading the app
level.
Yeah. You're right. The vcloak directive.
Yeah, I don't think we need that.
No, because our app hasn't. Because once the app loads, then vcloak is off the table anyways, and we just want to go to our saving.
So
whatever we're watching for saving.
Vuetify has a loading thing, I think.
Vuetify loading. Yeah, there is a component for overlays.
The overlay. So how do we use this thing?
So I'm on the page and I scroll down to the loader. So they have use view overlay as a background, add a progress component to create a custom loader.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that would work, okay?
Okay, I think so, yeah. Yeah, right there.
So what's the code for that? It's just overlay, value overlay with a little spinner on it. Cool. I mean, that should be easy enough.
Easy squeezy.
So I think, so you're right that we might want to do this as a global thing, but I think for now I'm just gonna put it inside this component because we don't have like a central global store that says loading.
Because those stores get imported separately, right? Like they're. So
Right
I think
now they do.
Okay.
There is a global store, and we could look at putting like a loading state in there.
Oh, right.
But
And
right now
then
we have loading kind of at each individual store level.
okay, sure.
So we have is loading. So this overlay, we're going to say is loading. That should be it, really. And then we need to add a computed here to the component that says is loading, which would be very similar to the is saving. Which will just go and pull the is loading state from the emergency kit store. I think that's it. So now this happens really quickly, so we're not going to be able to see it, but what I can do is just go put a breakpoint in the API.
Right.
So if I go to my get kit here, now when I go to the UI, so it should show loading now in the browser.
We should be able to switch back into the browser. And it's there.
If I get that, perfect. That was way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that was pretty easy. I wonder, well, there's no throttling on it right now, but I wonder if you could throttle it down in the browser just to see it without the breakpoint. But we don't have to do that.
Yeah, we'll give it a try. I'm going to check it in here first.
Look at that sneaky Simon leaving himself attached to the Visual Studio Code share endpoint. And he's getting the free commits here. I don't know about that guy.
What a guy. Okay, I'm going to push that. And yeah, that's a good question. So I'm going to go remove the breakpoint here.
I'm actually just more curious to see if it would actually work if we did it.
Yeah, me too. So we should be, oh, there's throttling right there. So I can say low-end mobile. Did it hit a breakpoint? Is that what it just did? No, it didn't. No, that was just what it would be like on a low-end mobile device.
Oh, cool. Well, that's actually kind of interesting then to see that that little slow load thing going on. That's pretty cool.
Oh, hey. What happens when we go offline?
Oh.
It still works. Serving from cache. Beauty.
Well, okay. So, and then what happens when you reconnect? If you've made changes, I'm just...
Yeah, so we're not handling the make changes part yet.
Right, because it just actually, it'll fail. There's an error message in there if we're, because I pasted that code in there. I copied it from the create. It just says failed to save. So should we be reverting the state there then if we're talking about cleaning stuff up? Should we be, because if you go to the...
You're thinking of that error path in the store.
Yeah.
So when we go to save, so what James is talking about here is if we go to save and we're not online, right now it just says you can't save because you're currently offline.
So do we need to revert the state to...
So we haven't committed to the store anything. And it would actually be okay. I don't think we would want to revert the state on that component, the local state for the component, because then they wouldn't be able to try saving again.
Right. You might just reconnect
because
the network.
It might just be a transient error. So let's actually just try that. So if I come in here and I go to create something, use that connection. And I add something. 15 units of water. And I go to create. Should just get an error. Oh, I forgot to go offline. Okay, let's go edit it instead then.
Sure.
So I load it. I'm on a slow connection.
Oh, actually, it was kind of neat to see that come back slowly.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm going to go offline. I'm going to make a change to this and hit save. Now it says I couldn't save because I'm offline, right? Please save.
And now you go back online.
Save. It's not working, but then maybe my connection comes back and I hit save again.
And there's a breakpoint.
And now it actually saves my item. So I think that's how we want it to behave, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you know what we do need to fix? One last thing, and then that's probably as far as we'll get realistically today. And then we just kind of talk about next steps. But this whole thing here where it's complaining about the state that I'm mutating the state outside of.
Oh, right, because the internal collection of properties there on the item, right? Yeah.
So I realize now what that problem was about, and it is because this guy. Where was my watch? So there's watch. Okay. So when I'm watching here, I cloned the array, but I didn't clone the items in the array. So what I actually want to do is, how do I clone all the items in the array? It would be a .map probably. And I would say
map returns a new. That should work.
So for each item in the array, let's just step through this now. Map is going to go through each item in the array and then return a new object, just a new JavaScript object. And I'm going to use a spread operator to then clone all the properties of the original item.
Right, and then every iteration through there will be added to the return array back from map. So
yeah, so now I should have an actual cloned list of items. As long as that doesn't have complex objects on it, then I might run into issues again. But I think these are all just simple properties on the kit items for now. So let me clear my state. I'm going to edit this guy. I'm going to bring more of these with me so I don't get the error anymore. And save should still work.
I'm interested to see if there's like some duplication or something.
Well, everything looks good, and we can actually go and, just for fun, go and double check that in the emulator too. So which one is this going to be? Shoot, which kit was I working on? Dave's bad connection. So that's probably Dave's bad connection.
Please save.
There it is. Dave's bad connection, please save. Something new, water 20. That all looks good.
Nice. And there's just the one item. I was actually, like, I guess I'm still thinking, that document DB space is different. I'm thinking of like, like if I'm cloning something out, I feel like that's still the source object's still there, but that's not what we're doing. It's not like we're hanging on to the existing array and adding items to it in this case, because we're doing the map. We're actually just getting the results out of that map function, and that's our current state, right? So
yeah, so we take that JavaScript object from that
and it's replaced
edited, we pass it to the backend here through the body of the put method, or that endpoint when we pass it in. So we deserialize it, and then we just make sure that we're setting the user ID and the things that are required that the server needs to be the source of truth on. And but yeah, the thing that probably was tripping you up there is we're calling replace document async. So we're actually saying for the kit document with this URL, so with this particular ID, just replace the entire thing with this new version of the document.
Right.
And then document.db goes and adds some metadata to that. So it has like its own reference ID internally and e-tags and things, and a timestamp of when it was updated. But everything else here that doesn't start with the underscore is just the object that we gave, the document that we gave it to save with this particular ID.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, I'm happy with what we accomplished here.
Yeah, we got some feature in, we got some like low bandwidth testing in, which is important. Like, because as you said, for this app,
Yeah.
if the intention is to use this in environments where cell phone towers are saturated, there will be some latency inherent in the connection.
Requests that fail occasionally too. So
Yeah.
testing the offline scenario, testing low bandwidth. And like one of the important things with that low bandwidth scenario is making sure that you give feedback that it's working on something.
Yeah.
So if you don't do that and it's just like sitting there, not telling the user that it's loading, the user might be tempted then to like start tapping more buttons to try to get it to load, at which point you're actually sending more requests and overloading the network even more, overloading the device more when it's on a flaky network to start with. So
Yeah, I equate that to thinking about, here in Canada, Rogers went offline for most of the day for most users in Western Canada. And I think about all, like, as those towers are coming back up and the flood of people who have tried to send their text messages 900 times, right? Like that, all those queued up messages trying to come through the system. It's kind of must be overwhelming for the system.
mm-hmm. Let's just go check on that PR. It should have all those 3 commits on it now. Cool. Oh, we lost your co-commits on there for some reason, but all good. Yeah, I think.
I don't think I actually wrote any code for that one, so it didn't pick me up as a co-contributor. That's why.
Maybe I don't know if it's that that's
Granular.
smart about it. Yeah, maybe. So a couple things that we could kind of going forward, as you said, this UI isn't ideal. This was kind of thrown together last time we worked on this just to get something working, but the color thing, definitely we could try to make that a little smaller and not so prominent, because the important thing really is the kit items. So
yeah, and I mean, like, if you think about, like, okay, so if the expectation is that my mom is going to download this thing and she sees the RGB selector there, like, she's going to be like, what? That could be sure. Kit items is a tab. Is that correct? Is that tab control?
No, it's actually so it looks a little funny here, but if I go back to something a little bigger, it's actually a table control. So it's listing out the items in my kit with the ability to add.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, there we go.
So it might not be the best control to use either, or maybe we just like disable some of the.
What's kit items then? What is that part of? Like the actual term up at the top, the title there.
Yeah, that's the title of the. Well, let's go look at the Vuetify component that we're using. I think it's a data table
header probably or something, or
is it B data table? Is that what we're using? Yeah, it's probably the header. Is there an example here that has that? It doesn't seem to be. I don't know where I got that then. I guess we can look at our own code.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in the. Yeah, there's like card. Nutrition. Card.
I think you're right that it can be cleaned up though, that whole piece too.
Yeah, because the header is actually going to be the column headers.
Yeah.
But that could be part of like maybe that is tabs. Maybe the first one is the kit items and the second one is the color and icon, like just the display properties, right, or something.
Yeah. And then I was actually just going to go look on Vuetify for that color picker, because I'm sure they have an example.
Maybe a compact mode or something, or a pop-up mode.
Thinking probably a pop-up thing. And they definitely have a version that doesn't have the RGB on it, which helps. What does this code look like? So they have the color picker. Interesting. How is it deciding when to show the RGB piece?
Oh wait, they've got there's multiple controls there.
Yeah.
So one of them.
I guess that what I need to look at is this one up here to see how it's showing.
What doesn't it have?
Dot size 25. Swatches
Hide
the max
inputs.
height. Oh, yeah. No.
So the usage, they're not always awesome in their docs to actually show all of the stuff that they're actually doing. But so it might be that hide inputs is actually in use.
Yeah, hide inputs is the thing. It wasn't updating there for some reason. There must be.
Yeah. Are you still in like slow browser mode or something?
No, that's only to that one.
Yeah, no,
thing,
I'm just being facetious.
Let's just have a look at what it would take to hide that part. I'm in the wrong version of Visual Studio Code. So if we look at just the edit one, there's my color picker. Hide inputs. Yeah, that's definitely better.
And there's a few other cleanup things that could probably happen, but
that's a nice little easy one at least.
Yeah.
But now, more to your point from earlier, I have to go make that change 2 places, right? So I also have to do it on the create.
Because create doesn't have it, right?
Because these are basically copies of each other, right? But just, I'm not going to make this change today, but do they have an example here where it's in more of a pop-up style? No, they don't have an example of that.
But that is
that's
something, yeah. And we could actually, that's a good example of something that we could componentize as well, like with a color pop-up picker or something.
Mm-hmm. In fact, what we might want to do is have like color and icon as something that you just display it here, and then when you tap on it, it brings you to like an edit
with that
pop-up of some sort that has those
maybe
two
a modal
things in it.
Yeah.
A little modal that lets you pick your icon and the color. Cool. Well, that's for a future date. I might as well do this little piece, so I think that was a good change.
It's a bonus commit.
Yep. Just when you thought we were done. One more thing. Simplify color picker. Nope. Always a good idea to save your files. What do I have that's not saved here? This one.
Still not giving me cred though, hey? Something has failed in the whole
I must have
code.
Yeah, I might have deleted it on the last one. I'm not sure. Anyway, you're out. You don't get credit anymore.
Yeah.
Let's double check that PR one more time. Got the four things now. Well, I think that's probably a wrap for today.
Yeah. My ride actually just pulled up and messaged me, so I should get going.
Oh, good timing.
Perfect timing.
Well, thanks for joining me today. That was
absolutely
more fun than doing it on my own. So, and thanks everyone for joining on the stream.
Cheers, everyone.
We'll see you next time. Bye. Yeah.